Hey guys, you may or may not know by now that this is not the video I planned for this week, but I luckily have a friend who loaned me her lens because my one and only lens broke yesterday, and she happened to be in the most beautiful campsite ever. And so I'm out here, and you guys came through and asked so many questions about van life and travel, and I'm going to try to answer as many of them as I can. So let's just get right into it. I actually just went and I bought some new candles from World Market, so let's create some ambiance, shall we? Starting off strong, what are your biggest challenges with van life? Are there days when living in small spaces get to you? Yes. I think the biggest challenges for me with van life changes. There's been periods of time where the loneliness has been the hardest part, when I don't know when I'm going to see a friend again, and that can really get to me for sure. Lately, the hardest thing about van life has been how I've had back-to-back expensive things break in my van. My van broke down. Actually, you know what? The hardest part about van life is when your van breaks down, because this is your car and your home. And as freeing as van life is when everything is working, as soon as your van is broken, you have all of your freedom stripped from you. Not very long ago, I was stranded in a parking lot for a week because my van broke down in a very remote area where there weren't really amenities and there weren't any rental cars because there was a long holiday. It was this whole thing, and it really got down on me. And to be honest, that was the time when I questioned if I can even do this lifestyle. So that'll be it. Dealing with mail and things I order on the road. What about medical for me and Eliza? Are you planning another trip overseas next year? I use USPS General Mail Delivery. That is how I get all of my packages, and usually I only have packages for brand deals. I don't often buy things for just myself online unless I know I'm going to my mom's house. Whenever I know that I'm about to go to my mom's house, I order so many things so that by the time I get to her house, my poor mother has like a full pile of boxes for me. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. As for medical for me and Eliza, I have insurance for us. Eliza has a Thrive Affordable Vet Care, which is pretty affordable for her, but unfortunately Thrive is only available in some states, so that's a little tricky. And then I have my own health insurance. And at the moment, I am not planning another trip overseas next year. I've seen you catch mice. Do you know where they get in? How much of a problem is this for most fans? I get it every fall in my house. I feel like when the mice first started coming in my van, I didn't mind that much. It was kind of, oh, this is cool for the plot. But now it's really starting to get on my nerves. I just released 2, and I think I might have another one. I have been on Ram ProMaster forums. I have been trying to find where these mice are getting into my van, but I don't know. I don't know how they're getting into my van. The other night, it was 4 a.m. I woke up hearing these scratching noises, and I have peppermint essential oils in my van. And I basically spilled a half of a bottle of peppermint essential oils all over my van. And now my van still to this day smells pretty strongly of peppermint, but I think that it's still in here, or I'm paranoid and just hearing scratches because I've had so many mice. But some of my friends haven't had any problems at all. I think it might just be the ProMaster or the year of ProMaster, but I honestly couldn't tell you. But if someone could help me with like pictures, I think I need pictures of where it could be, you would be my lifesaver, because I'm so tired of releasing these mice, as cute as they are. How the heck do you meet van life friends on the road? I have tried starting conversations through IG DMs, but no one answers. I'm sorry that's happening to you. I'm sure that if you found the right person, they would respond. You know, social media has been a blessing for me, but I have also hit dead ends where I've slid into someone's DMs and never gotten a reply. And I don't think it's personal. I don't think it's a reflection of you. You know, people are just living their crazy lives. I honestly will say social media has been my way of meeting most of my friends. I have exactly one time driven up and there's been a solo female traveler where I'm at. I've met a couple of older, really lovely couples. I'm sorry, that's tricky. I would just say keep at it. You know, you'll find your people eventually. It took me a long time to find my people, well over a year and a half of trying, and something's not fitting, and it takes a while, you know, to cultivate that, but you'll find it. Just keep on going. How did you learn to build out your van properly? I used videos on YouTube. I was discussing this earlier with the plumbing and the electrical. People like Greg Virgo and Will Prowse really helped me with my electrical, and Greg Virgo was really great for plumbing as well. And then I watched a few other van life channels at the time. I think I watched like Linnea and Aquila and there's a couple others that helped me. But honestly, I mostly just kind of made it up as I went, and that worked for me, I guess, mostly. What influenced you the most to start van life? Are you having any regrets or serious issues, struggles that you didn't foresee? You seem truly content and at peace with this lifestyle. Thank you for being real and positive. Well, my van life aspirations really started because of YouTube, because I was watching Eamon and Becca, the Van Wives, and they were doing it and it seemed really cool. And I thought, you know, I could do that. But it wasn't the top of my list. I really wanted to travel internationally. I had a work visa to go to New Zealand, but then COVID hit, that was canceled, and then I bought this van with all the savings that I had saved up. I also had to take out a loan, but I had a pretty substantial amount of savings with that plan to move to New Zealand. So I kind of fell into it, but also it was a dream that I could really see myself loving, and here we are almost 3 years later, which is so wild. Oh, and about regrets, I wish that I had known in hindsight to do a little more research on things like woodwork and flooring for my van. I did so much research on the electrical and the plumbing because those were things that I was kind of scared of. I was like, I need to do this right, I can't mess it up. And then I kind of just winged it for all of the woodwork, and it looks good, but there are some serious issues with my flooring. There's places on my floor where like I can like smush it down and there's cracks in the wood, and I didn't use the right material for that or for some of the other parts of my van. So, you know, hindsight's 20/20 though. I did the best that I could in the moment, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Have you ever gotten stranded with the van, and what did you do? Is there roadside assistance for that type of van? What about insurance? Are vans insured like other cars? I have never been stranded. My van has gone into limp mode, where you get this message that says in 200 miles your van will stop accelerating properly, and I have had it go into limp mode. That's a video recently when I was stranded. I think the title of the video is Stranded in the Middle of Nowhere, if you guys want to hear about that drama. But I have AAA, and as long as you have service, AAA can really help you out. I have had friends who've needed AAA because they've run out of gas a couple times. I am not the kind of person that would ever run out of gas. As soon as my van is like even at a half tank, I'm like, okay, gotta fill her up. So I'm thankful for that, and I've never been stranded. I feel like I'm just knocking on wood all the time lately, guys. Do you have a gym membership for showers and stuff? I do not. I used to have a Planet Fitness membership, but to be honest, Planet Fitnesses are not everywhere, and I don't really like driving hours for a shower. But you know what is everywhere in pretty much every town you go to is a community center, and I have been to so many community centers where showers have even been free sometimes, or just $2. Sometimes it's more expensive, like $8 or $10, but then you have full access to the facility. So I'll practice yoga or do a little workout, and that's what works for me. To each their own, but I actually really do love going to community centers too, because I feel like you get a little bit more of a feel of the town that you're visiting. How do you get stuff delivered to you? How much money do you spend on fuel? What other expenses do you have that are surprising and not normal? How do you make money? A lot of questions here. I said how I get things delivered. Fuel is so depending on what I do that month. Like there are some months where I stay in a spot basically the entire month. There are other places where I cross states, and so I can spend as little as $100, $200 on fuel per month, or I can spend $700 or $800 on fuel per month. Each time I fill my tank, it's over $100. Pretty much no matter where I am. Maybe if I was in Texas, it wouldn't be so bad. As for other expenses, you know, I was mentioning things break, and I've been on the road long enough that things that have been working for 2 years break, and my van is a 2015 and things break, and those are unforeseen and expensive and really stressful. As for how I make money through YouTube. I mostly make my money through brand deals, but I also make money on AdSense. AdSense can vary dramatically depending on views that I get that month. Brand deals are a little more consistent because I schedule them a month or two or even 3 or more in advance, and so that is how I make sure that my income is still stable. The brand deals that I'm talking about are the short ads that I have in my videos that you may watch or click through. We all do it. I get it. Some of those are cool though. You might not want to skip them all. There are a lot of questions in this one, so I might only answer 1 or 2. Would you consider doing another self-build in the future? What would you keep and what would you change? You know, I probably wouldn't do another self-build in the future. What I could potentially see is a school bus if I fell madly in love with someone who wanted to do that down the line, but that is not something that's happening right now, so it's not something I'm considering. I really love my van. I love my build. It's not the van size that I wanted. I wanted a longer van, and if I had a longer van, I would completely change the layout. But with the van that I have, I really love the build. I made a few mistakes because I was still learning. I was a complete novice when I started, but I love it. I really do. If you had the opportunity to settle down in a house for a year rent-free and choose any location or area of the US that I've traveled to, where would you choose and why? I've gone to so many places in my van, and when I started van life, I really thought I would be visiting places with the intent of seeing if I would settle down in those areas. And I think that's a hard question to answer. Rent-free, completely free, I would consider living in Crested Butte, Colorado. But then again, I haven't been there in winter. I've only been there in peak wildflower season, so that could be a whole different beast. I would also highly consider living in the PNW, specifically on the Oregon or Washington coast, but I don't know exactly where. Were you intimidated by driving long distances in your van when you first hit the road? This wasn't a problem for me. I don't like driving in cities, so I think that's my biggest concern, is when I'm driving for a really long period of time and then I go through a really crowded area and I've already been kind of burnt out from driving. That's when I know I need to stop and take a break. But other than that, not so much. I don't love it. I mean, it's not amazing, especially when you're driving alone. I have Eliza, but she's not the best conversationalist. This one is for the girlies, for the people with uteruses. Does that time of month get complicated? Sometimes I get fearful of how that may be on the road. I think that this is dependent on what rig you have. I have a really nice composting toilet and I have access to running water all the time, so I don't really think it is tricky at all for me. That being said, I have had friends who have had a much harder time with it. If you have less facilities in your van, if you don't have access to as much running water and you don't have a nice toilet, I can imagine that would be really uncomfortable. I will say all of my friends who've ever gotten a toilet after not having it for a while in their van have been like, why did I not have that? So even if you get a cassette toilet or kind of modify a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat cover and you throw wood chips in it, having that will be key for not just your time of the month, but just your whole life. I'm serious. Consider it. Consider it, my friends. Moving on to personal questions. I always wish my favorite nomads would share more of their life stories, like life before traveling, where they grew up. Okay, well, I'm not going to spend too long on this. I don't know that I have many pictures that I can show you, I'm sorry. But I grew up in South Lake Tahoe. I'm a California girl. We moved with my mom to Santa Rosa. My mom raised me and my brother and also worked full-time. She is a crazy hard worker. And then I went to college in Santa Barbara at a city college, and then I transferred to UC Santa Cruz. I love Santa Cruz. Eventually, I landed a solid position at a restoration plant nursery where we grew native plants for projects and for landscapes throughout the Central Coast. It was a really cool job. I was in charge of this area called the BMP area, which stands for Best Management Practices. We grew plants that are cleaned to prevent diseases going out onto the field where we planted those plants. So that was my job. I was the BMP nursery manager. It was a really cool job. I had great co-workers. I really loved a lot about it. At the same time, I was looking to explore my creativity and my career path a little bit more, and here we are. What keeps you going with van life, especially when so many mishaps keep happening? Girl. I've been doing this whole thing, YouTube and van life and traveling full-time, for over 2.5 years now. We're going on 3 years of this, and I've built this life with this amazing community and an outrageous amount of freedom to work on my own terms and to explore my creativity however I want to. Van life is so tied to those things that a part of it is just I'm a little bit nervous about the idea of pursuing a different lifestyle. And then on the other side of the coin, there are things that I would really love that you do not get with this lifestyle. I would love to have a community that I see all the time, that I don't maybe go a year without seeing. This is gonna sound silly, but I would love to have enough floor space in my home to practice some yoga without getting dirty. My friends make fun of me because I'm not a dirtbag. I'm really not. I'm just living in my van out here, but I like it. I like things to be clean and organized. Very type A. I think what keeps me going is I have this dream of both. And in order to have both, I need to save a lot of money. And so I am currently in the process of saving as much money as I can. Although everything keeps breaking, please let things just like stop breaking, like expensive things. Please stop breaking. And once that happens, I'll be back on the route of saving as much money, because eventually I would love to maybe have a place that I could at least have part-time, if not full-time, and still have the van, or maybe have a different rig. That was a long-winded question. We're moving on, but thank you for your question. Any desire to make a trip east once, explore the East Coast? You know, if I could just to the East Coast in my van, I would do it. I really would. And I would go and I would see Maine's fall colors right now, and it would be amazing. I would visit New York for the first time, not the city, just the state. And it would be amazing. But I have heard enough negative stories about van life on the East Coast that I am just not all that interested, especially since all my friends and so much land and so much space is available to me out in the West. So there was a person who asked some questions about van life earlier, but she also asked a few personal questions and questions about art, and I liked this one of what aspect of your craft are you focused on developing as a storyteller. I feel like I'm constantly working on developing my skills and making it better and making it more viewable and making it more digestible and relatable and inspiring and creative. There's so many things that I feel like I'm constantly learning, and since I have no schooling, it's all really self-taught, or because I watch the work of my peers and get inspired through their work. Lately, I've been really focusing on working on my short form storytelling, because I know how important and huge short form content is in today's world. And so I would say like doing reels and little TikToks have been really where I'm trying to put some more of my focus, because I really haven't done that in the past. So you guys should consider following me on Instagram, because none of you guys basically are over there, and that would be a huge help to me. How often do you go home to recharge, fix things, or visit? Do you think you could stay on the road without family to turn to if the metaphoric wheels came off? And does it make you happy, or do you worry that the people most likely to be in your off-camera life are other van lifers? I go home fairly often. I would say I go to my mom's house once or twice a year, and I visit my brother's house maybe once a year in Austin, and so that is really awesome. I think it would be a lot harder if I didn't have that option, not necessarily for fixing things in my van, but for those occasions when I'm wanting to travel internationally. My mom and my brother and my stepdad have really been so supportive of taking care of Eliza. And Eliza goes to her grandma's house, or Eliza goes to her uncle's house, and she has an amazing time, and I know that I can trust that she's safe and loved, because Eliza is not someone that I could just take many places. Like, I could probably get her an expensive sitter, but as we talked about before, I'm trying to save money. So yeah, I would say that's about as often. And I love that all of the people that I meet on the road are van lifers. You know, we all have so many shared values. People who live in their vans, even though we all come from all walks of life, a lot of us do have similar ideas for how we want our lives to work, or what we want our futures to look like, and that's really cool. But then you do get, you know, diversity as well, so it just feels like the best of both worlds. My biggest concern is, if I did get off the road, would that mean saying goodbye to the entire community I've spent years building, because they're all travelers? Of course, you know, my friends would visit. They would visit, but it's definitely different. You have a friend. You have a little bee that's, he's gone now. Okay, cool. We're getting to the juicy questions. How is dating life on the road? Or are you at the point of not right now? And also, who gets more attention when you meet someone on the road, Eliza or the van? Eliza. You know, Eliza is the moment. She is the star. She is an angel sent from heaven above to grace us with her presence. So take that with what you will. As for dating life, I'm really on board with dating. Honestly, ever since I've gotten on the road, I have prioritized dating as much as I possibly can, but it is kind of tricky. You know, I don't want to date someone in a house. I don't want to immediately launch into a relationship with long distance. That's not something I'm interested in. And I think when you get on the road and you're already someone who is as insanely picky as I am, you just kind of cut your dating pool way down as soon as you decide that you also want them to be traveling full time. So that being said, I will probably not be sharing that with you guys. That's something that I will keep private and that I have kept private ever since I began this channel. If I was ever to introduce someone on this channel as my partner, it would be so far into that relationship and we would have discussed it together, and that would, yeah, that's for me. Sorry guys, that's for me. If and when you were to settle down, any idea of where that would be? I have all these dreams, you know, settle down in Spain, settle down in the United Kingdom, settle down in Europe. That's like a big, would love to do that. I could also really see PNW. I could also really see Colorado. There's a lot of dreams and so many options for us to live, so many lives we can choose to lead, and I don't know. Do I plan to host or co-host more group travel trips? If yes, which destinations would you pick? Guys, I honestly feel a little bit nervous about this. I would love to do another group trip, but I'm a little bit nervous that nobody would come. You know, between me and Sarah and Tori, we all have a pretty large following, and we got some interest, but we had a lot of people bail at the end of the day, and if one more person had left the trip, we wouldn't have been able to do it, and then it just would have been all for naught. And so while I really do want to do it, I'm kind of subtly trying to grow my community online a little bit more to hopefully garner some more interest, because I would really love to meet more of you guys and travel. There are so many places I want to go. I could write you a list of 300 countries and I would be interested in going to all of them. A few of you guys asked me about Canada. As you may or may not know, I have been wanting to go to Canada. That being said, so many unforeseen things have happened. I did not expect to be stranded with my van for a while. I didn't expect my camera lens to just break. Things kind of keep pushing me back, and I really wanted to have a lot of time there. I was kind of hoping to be there before October even started, and now we're already, you know, a week into October. And so I'm starting to think it might be something for next summer instead, so that I can really soak it in there and be there for a lot longer. I might just stick to Oregon and Washington this winter before I head down to Baja. Are you and Eliza headed south this winter again to find warmer weather? Yes. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know that last winter my entire channel became one giant advertisement for Baja California, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm doing that again. I don't think that van life gets much better or more romantic than when you're in Baja California, and so that is what I'm going to be doing. Do you have any tips for travel in Mexico? Like I said, I have so many videos on Baja, and I made an entire video all about traveling in a van there, so feel free to check it out. We're getting to the tail end of this Q&A. There were a few questions about the art that I like to do in my free time. I'm a bit of an art hobbyist, and I'm trying to get some more of my art in print for my Patreon members. It's not something that I necessarily do professionally, but something that I really love and could see myself, you know, continuing for years to come. So, can you vlog yourself painting watercolors more often? I will be doing that for sure, and actually in next week's video I will be doing some of that. How did you grow your beautiful artistic skills? Did you go to school or learn by yourself? If it's yourself, what tools did you get to get where you are now? Wow, this comment is really sweet. Thank you so much, Lavender. I'm all self-learned. I think just practice, you know? Practice, and trying a variety of mediums and trying to figure out what you even like to draw and developing a style are all things I'm actually still playing with. And I would say that despite the fact that I like some of the things that I've made for sure, I far more often struggle with the blank page and knowing when to stop and really loving what I make. And so it's just this continuous practice, right, of enjoying the process of whatever art form that you like rather than focusing too much on the product. And in doing so, I think that you learn so much. I actually would really love to take some more classes because I think that learning from someone who knows so much more, because I know very little, would be of extreme value and could be so enriching. So I would really love that a lot. We have reached the final question. How do you prep your art for sale? Where do you get the prints printed? What type of paper do you use? All of these are questions I will answer in next week's video. It's the video that was supposed to go up today before my camera lens broke. Again, thank you so much to Alex, She Roams Wild, for letting me use her camera lens. She actually has a YouTube channel. You guys should go check her out because she makes some amazing content. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for submitting so many kind and thoughtful questions and comments. I'm just feeling so much love for the community right now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye. Oh, we haven't even started and we're already running out of batteries. Q&A, Q&A, Q&A. Is this recording? Okay. Hello? Okay. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. Oh. Okay.